they went to the Queen to tell her her subjects had no bread. Do you know what she said?
Let them eat cake.
Who took the bomb?
We're getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies, you see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people. Everything. Good morning. Stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants.
There we go. Good morning, peasants. Welcome to another episode of the Peasants Perspective. I hope you set your clocks back for daylight savings. We're jumping on it early. We're starting the show early today because we both have appointments, places we got to be. Yeah. So we figure you can just watch the replay, right? I mean, it's great. We'll probably celebrate at 6:30 when people start filling in the chats.
You'll probably find out you like it better when you can just skip ahead.
That's right. Oh, man. Well, it's early today. Both Ron and I are like, wow. I commented, there's no caffeine in here, and he hands me a cold diet Dr. Pepper.
Woo! Brought to you by Crisp and Refreshing.
That's right. Ron has a vending machine at his house. Just kind of fun.
I'm getting rich.
Yeah. So I wanted to start out today and show you how great Americans are. We are the funnest people on the planet, for sure, and super generous. So this is a British tourist, came down to, I think it's Florida, just for a day and just was checking out the Everglades, thought maybe he could see an alligator from the docks. And we're buffering. All right, let's refresh that.
I'm going to guess there will be an alligator.
There might be.
Boss. First time I've ever seen that. The UK. I came here looking for an alligator. I've never seen one before. You don't mind? All right. Okay. Thank you. Texas vodka.
Oh, no.
Oh, he's coming this way. I've never shot a gun in my life.
Uh-oh. Watch out, people. Oh, yeah. Got some new Americans here. Oh, take a turn. Oh!
This boat's real nice. The thing about this boat is the owner of this boat picked two strangers up and took us to the experience. And he filled the bottle up with bullets. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you all. Thank you. This has been one of the most amazing days of our lives. These are some of the greatest people in the world.
That's America.
Yeah, baby.
When I think of America, I think of that right there. I think of overwhelming generosity. Jump in, let's go.
Yeah.
Right. That is America. And people do say that about Americans. We're surprisingly outgoing and gregarious. And so that's kind of fun. And that, unfortunately, that goodness that we have inherent in us and willingness to give everybody a chance, even a stranger, jump in, we'll take you for a spin. I'll show you an alligator. Never shot a gun before. Well, here, unload the clip.
It's time to click off those bucket list items.
Shoot it into the water. Yeah, the greatest day of his life. Well, that gets taken advantage of because even at the top of our country, Americans are still Americans. This is Kyle Serafim, former FBI agent who turned whistleblower, who now has his own show. And apparently he did some background checking. And a lot of this is confusing as to who really figured out who is. And when you're talking about J6 FBI agents and prosecutors, we know who they are, right? And we've been frustrated by some of them that haven't been fired, while some have been. Well, Kyle Serafim, turns out there was a big clean out at the FBI yesterday. A bunch of agents, some of them who'd recently been transferred to important positions all got fired. They called it a bloodbath with more to come. One of these agents that got fired was actually the pilot who was flying around the jet that Kash Patel flies in. So listen to this.
The pilot who flies Kash Patel's private jet right now, a Gulfstream 550 FBI aircraft, was previously, in his post just before that, running the investigation into Mar-a-Lago on behalf of Jack Smith that resulted in a search warrant at the now president's house. That sounds really scandalous. So the question is, how do you end up with the guy who ran the case into the current president now flying around the current FBI director and listening in on all of his conversations? And it goes something like this. I gave advice to Kash Patel early on. I was giving him advice all the way through the nomination process, through the confirmation process, and the minute he was confirmed, he cut me off and no longer started talking. So now he gets the information that I share the same way that any of you would. They listen to my podcast, which is a really awkward thing to find out that the FBI director was catching up on my show and yelling about it and calling me an MFer, apparently. So we put out a thread on Monday of this week. On Friday, I gave the Trump administration a little bit of a heads up. I called an insider, somebody that I know and trust, and said, here's some information. The pilot who was flying Kash Patel was the case agent on the Mar-a-Lago case. You should know that. This is the person's name. Here's his FAA airman receipts. This is his type certifications on planes. This is his address, which I didn't share, but I said, look, it ties into what goes on over at the FAA database. Address that's on file with the tax assessor shows that he's law enforcement. In other words, it's redacted. It says name withheld on behalf of the owner, which is a thing that Virginia does for law enforcement officers. So I gave them all the evidence to be able to make sure that this was the guy. And then I showed them that this guy, Christopher Meyer, was not just the pilot, not just the guy who worked on the Mar-a-Lago case, but he also was the person who was involved in the arrest of one Harrison Floyd. Harrison Floyd was one of the guys that went to jail and spent.
Harrison Floyd was the founder of Blacks for Trump in Georgia, and he is the one who got hard evidence from it was either the election commission or whatever, but he got hard evidence of voter fraud in Georgia. When they arrested Donald Trump, Sidney Powell, and all the different players in that Georgia RICO case, Harrison Floyd, the only black man arrested, sat in prison for 28 days, sat in jail for 28 days before he made bond. For no reason. He just goes, I think it's because I'm black, and they were trying to say, you got to get in line kind of thing. But he had the goods. He had the records that proved the election was stolen in Georgia. And he's the guy who sat in prison.
Time in the courthouse and alongside Donald Trump as a defendant in Fulton County. So he was part of the Letitia James, whatever that other lady, Fannie. The AG Fannie that was in there that was going after Trump and co. in the local cases that were happening. So you've got this guy. He helped arrest Harrison Floyd. His partner on that arrest was another guy named Walter Gardina. And Gardina and Chris Meyer apparently have been ordered fired. So that's of note. That came as a result of this thread, which went out viral on Monday. I gave him 2 days to respond to it, and then we published it. The story goes forward because nobody was moving forward. What we also found out is that the former one at the FBI, the acting director at the time when Donald Trump took office, a guy named Brian Driscoll, has also been ordered removed. And the insiders that I had told me that the conversation that went on in the office went something like this: you need to fire that pilot who's underneath your sort of chain of command. He said, you can't do that because he's a veteran. And he said, I want him fired anyway. And he said, do you really want to fire the guy who spent 7 months listening to your conversations and flying around in a private jet with you? Which, whether it's an implied threat or not, it is one of those kind of things that we all worried about. What does leverage look like? What does it look like to have access? It's the reason why you wouldn't want a case agent from Mar-a-Lago actually flying the plane and having direct, shoulder rubs with the current director of the FBI.
Wow.
Huh.
So I assume Kash Patel and his benevolence is like, oh, hey, great, a pilot. A pilot's a pilot. They don't usually run cases. They're pilots. Turns out this guy was running a case. Happened to be a big one that you're investigating.
It'd kind of like be if the president of the United States was all of a sudden serving you at your diner. Like, what the heck is going on?
If Jack Smith ends up being his butler.
Exactly. Something like that.
And it's not a position of humiliation. He's actually spying,
Yeah.
Wait, you're Jack Smith? This happened with Jim Baker, who went over to X and became the general counsel for X. And he was the general counsel at the FBI during the whole coup. and during all the communication back and forth between the FBI and X, and he was the one tasked with releasing the files, and he was holding files back. And then they caught him. They're like, Jim Baker? Is this the Jim Baker? Little LinkedIn search. The reporter's eyes are like blowing out of their eye sockets. Like, the very man we're looking for, the smoking gun, is the one giving us these documents. No wonder they're falling just shy of what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And then he got walked out of X, and bada bing, bada boom. Suddenly these emails show up that are like, take this account offline. We don't like what they're saying. They're bad boys. Shantini on Rumble, good morning. Welcome. And then
Early
Sapphire
riser.
Patriot. Yeah. Sapphire Patriot jumped on with us. She said, good morning, peasants. She said, visiting the John Attackis family is on my bucket list. I said, we need to make that happen. Yes. Just like Tina Peters. Yes. Harrison Floyd was thrown in jail. Harrison Floyd and Blacks for Trump visited Freedom Corner, which stood vigil outside of the DC gulag for, I don't know, a long time, 1,000 days, long time. And then Sapphire Patriot. That sounds crazy. It is crazy. So one of the other FBI agents that was fired yesterday was Steve Jensen. Steve Jensen was a lead case agent in a bunch of FBI stuff, and he was promoted. And it kind of sent a firestorm right off the beginning. We're like, how is this guy getting promoted? And the word we got from Dan Bongino, all the cryptic messages, was basically, some people have the goods and we keep them around to do whatever. Well, now you fired him. So I have a feeling you never debriefed him, got the goods. He probably was up for promotion, looked like the right guy, and nobody did a little background check to realize what he'd been involved with. I mean, the subterfuge is unbelievable here. And the fact that you have a case agent over Mar-a-Lago that ends up flying the jet for Kash Patel, that looks intentional. Have you ever seen, when I was in prison, I figured out that I could go down to the rec center and I could watch a movie on Saturday and Sunday mornings. Right. So you could go all week, but I was doing other things. So on Saturday and Sunday morning, I'd wake up and you could go down and not have to have an appointment because they're full. Okay. So Saturday and Sunday, I wake up early, 5 a.m., watch a little bit of news, and then I go get in line for the 6 a.m. breakfast call. And at 6 a.m. breakfast, I can haul down and I can bank a left into the rec center because it opens up and I could get onto a TV. But you had to haul. I mean, haul from your housing unit down there.
So how many TVs were there and how many people wanted them?
There was 20 and there was probably 300 people that wanted them.
Oh.
So it was first come, first serve, 6 a.m. By 6:03, all the TVs are filled out. And my housing unit just happened to be the closest to rec. So as long as the door got unlocked when they did the breakfast call, then I could make it. If there was any delay, if the CO was moseying, I wouldn't make it.
How many stamps is a TV worth?
Oh my gosh, you can't buy them. You couldn't buy them. You couldn't buy them. You could bribe the rec guard. Maybe you could. But either way, I would get down there and I'd typically get a TV.
All right.
So I watched.
Well, I was just thinking you had such a good access. Maybe you could sell one every day.
Well, not only did I read a lot in prison, but I watched the entire James Bond series. I watched the entire Mission Impossible series. Basically any kind of trilogy, multiple, I'd watch them because I could get into the story of it. And I watched all of the Fast and Furiouses.
Oh, no.
All of them.
Oh, no.
They get progressively worse.
Yeah.
And I watched a bunch of stuff, man. I watched a whole bunch of indie movies. They had 2,000 movies you could watch. They had DVDs that you could check out and go. Anyways, it was pretty cool. It wasn't that cool. You were sitting in a cubicle. It was when I used to work in a call center in college, right? You get your little desk with the cubicle, and it's not even a cubicle. It's just a desk with sidewalls.
Yeah.
You're all kind of, so that's what it was. It was a TV screen, not much bigger than the one we have here. And you could just sit there in a plastic lawn chair and watch a movie. And it started to become the highlight of the week.
This sounds like me in college. I took a film study class and I had to go to the library to watch all these movies, and it was in a cubicle thing. Not a cubicle, but like what you were describing.
Yeah.
That's exactly my experience in school.
So I don't remember which Bond it was, but it was one of the new ones with the English guy. I guess they're all English guys, but it was one of the newer ones, and I think it's called Cypher. And at one point he's sitting there with Moneypenny that when she becomes an old lady, or no, mom. It wasn't Moneypenny. It was mom. Or, anyways, point is he's talking to her and she's got her driver bodyguard.
Oh.
And Cypher.
Yeah.
They've got this Cypher guy, and they're kind of getting ready to torture him. Get the information. Where's Cypher? And he's like, we think you guys are all over the place. We think that the CIA and MI6 are listening in on every phone call. We're super paranoid, but you don't even know we exist. And he's like, that's what I'm learning. And he's like, we're everywhere. And then her driver has his gun on him, and then the driver turns and puts the gun on her.
Oh,
And it's like, whoa, they have a mole as the exact assistant of the head. You know what I mean? It's like, and it sends the whole MI6 into. So anybody who's seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. I don't remember which one it is, but best Bond woman of all, Eva Green, for sure. No doubt about it. So anyways, so that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of, you've got this cabal and they have their apparatchiks and they've spread them all over the place. You know, I know in my J6 FBI agent, who I have many things to say about him, but he fled. So he was told before Trump came in, you need to get out of this office. And so he transferred to another place. And it was when they returned our property, I wasn't there, but the FBI agent and the new FBI agent replacing him were talking to my wife, and she, you know, he said something, and the new FBI agent that replaced, well, I mean, it wasn't that. I mean, your husband kind of deserved it because he participated in an insurrection. He was like attempting to overthrow the government. He said this to her. He said this to her. I'm like, oh, so that's the FBI agent now in this area. Okay, just FYI, there will be no crimes solved while this man is here. Yeah. His worldview is messed up.
Yeah.
It's that simple. You see bad men where there's good men. That's what that is. Your worldview is messed up. Like, you can't send that FBI agent to go look after crime now because
you're parroting a lie that's been spun by the media.
Not only a lie, but now your boss is the guy who was trying to overthrow the government.
Right.
So what are you? You're clearly, you know, the oath of the Constitution that binds you to him through us, right? For us, you think he's an insurrectionist?
You're confused at best.
Confused
at best.
You can't be in this position.
Yeah.
We require the FBI to see through all the nonsense. Just get to the facts, the things that happened, right? And it can't be that way, because when you don't see things clearly, you end up with stuff like this. So this right here this is coming from CNN US. Charges dropped against man accused of trying to abduct a child at a Georgia Walmart after surveillance footage sows doubt. So here's the man, and I guess this woman's on this little cart, or there's a guy right there. Some woman's on a cart. Charges have been dismissed against a man who is facing attempted kidnapping and other charges after a mother accused him of trying to grab her 2-year-old son from her at a Georgia Walmart record show. Mahinda Patel encountered 26-year-old Caroline Miller with her 2 children riding a motorized cart she was driving in the March 18th incident at Walmart in the city of Acworth, about 30 miles northwest of downtown Atlanta. He asked her for help to find Tylenol, his lawyer said. Miller's alleged Patel then grabbed her 2-year-old son from her, but that she pulled the child back. Patel's lawyer says surveillance video proves he was just trying to make sure the boy didn't fall from the scooter, which they said had just clipped a store display. Patel was held in Cobb County Jail, which, by the way, it's a horrible place to be. I've met many people who went through Cobb County Jail for 45 days after he was indicted on April 3rd by a grand jury. He got indicted. They took this to a grand jury. What evidence did they show to the grand jury? Because as soon as they showed this video footage to the judge, charges dropped on charges of criminal attempt to commit kidnapping, simple assault, and simple battery. He was released on a $10,000 bond in early May after his lawyer, Ashlis Merchant, presented her case as to why he should be released by showing the judge a compilation of security footage she subpoenaed from Walmart and shared with media outlets, including CNN. It was security footage that drew public attention to the case and prompted over 90,000 people to sign a petition declaring his innocence and calling for his release. The footage is somewhat grainy, and Patel's back obscures part of what is happening in his encounter with Miller. About 6 minutes later, video shows Patel paying for his purchase and walking out the door after pausing to speak with an employee for more than 20 seconds. While Merchant said Patel was trying to make sure the boy didn't fall from his scooter his mother was riding on him in her lap. Prosecutors argued the video shows he grabbed the child and fled the incident. The state agreed, so the prosecutors said, no, he's trying to grab the child. The judge is looking at it like, I don't know about that.
So is the woman just lying?
It's amazing how prevalent those lies can be, right? Yes, there are people who do those kind of lies just for the attention and just because of who knows what reason. But even if it's even if she was correct and thought he was trying to take the kid, you just clipped a cart and your kid's off balance. And you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, and if you were really trying to steal a kid, you'd really hang out in the store forever.
Home Depot. Yeah. Walmart. So so after the video was shown in court, the state agreed to dismiss the case and drop the charges on Wednesday, according to court records. So here's the thing. You remember my friend Earl, 43 months in federal prison, charges dropped. And he's homeless, by the way. He spent the last night in a homeless shelter after going to the ER because he has a foot infection. He did finally get a paper ID, and this next week he should get his regular ID so we can get him out of town, get him out of that bad area that he's in, and get him somewhere better. So FYI, I might be making a call for people to some kind of give, send, go or something at the beginning of the week because he could use a couple bucks.
All right.
Patel spoke with CNN. So after the court hearing saying, I feel relieved, to be honest with you. This thing was hanging over my head for a long time and our family went through a lot of hell. You know, we went through this, but today is a day of celebration. I'm thankful for that. The only reason this case was resolved in our favor, and this is from the attorney, was because we were able to obtain the video proving our client was innocent from Walmart, merchant said in a statement. Now keep this in mind. They went to a grand jury. What did they present?
I don't know.
The mother's statement alone?
It sounds like it.
Grand jury's supposed to basically see the trial in advance. It's not adversarial, but they're supposed to stack up all the evidence. If they didn't have the surveillance footage, or if the DOJ was hiding, or the state prosecutors were hiding it or hadn't disclosed it, they returned a grand jury indictment.
Yeah,
that's a lot of weight.
That's putting your finger on the scale.
She said, our system needs to be aware that innocent people are falsely accused on a daily basis. This I know for a fact. I went through prison. I cannot see a world where we don't have that institution. There are people behind bars that need to be there. They will eat your face. There are sociopaths, there are murderers, there are rapists, there are killers, there are people who do not feel remorse for the things they've done. And then there's good people who get caught up in stuff like this. Some of them have even, participated on the periphery of bad activity. I'm not even saying that they shouldn't be punished. But the problem is the system has no way to decipher, and it just assumes your guilt. This idea of innocent till proven guilty is a farce at best. Otherwise, everybody would make bond. Nobody would be caught in a situation like my friend Earl. No way. Our system needs to be aware that innocent people are falsely accused on a daily basis. And without police willing to investigate before rushing to judgment, and this is what I'm saying with the FBI agent, if he just assumes Trump was a Russian agent, just assumes Trump was trying to overthrow the government, then he's right to assume that every conservative group like the Birch Society or the Kitsap Patriots are right-wing American Taliban institutions trying to overthrow the government. And he's going to put his attention there. Do you see what I'm saying? When you assume that an entire group is something they're not.
Well, you were part of an insurrection.
You were part of an insurrection trying to overthrow the government. I mean, you're lucky your guy won. What? It was never the case. Judge is willing to release people on bond while awaiting investigation. The prosecutor is willing to provide transparency with evidence. This will continue to happen, the attorney continued. So again, it matters what gets said. The other thing, too, is there's a constant attempt to try to shape the media narrative. So let's get this. Good morning. Did you start early today? Pray the rosary daily on Rumble. Yes, we did. It's daylight savings. Don't you know?
Come on, man. You got to gasline a little better than that. Be like, no, dude, you're
running late. Yeah, we're about to wrap up. We did. We both have appointments today, so we did that. Harrison and Blacks for Trump visited Freedom Corner from Sapphire Patriot. That sounds crazy. 906 days. 906 days is how long Freedom Corner stood vigil. It's pretty awesome.
Whoa.
We know the agents are embedded deep. And Tiffany and Carlito, good morning, Patriots. Yes, good morning. Totally should start a GSG for that man. Yes, I need to. Oh man, Earl got out and it's like, I'm out. Okay, great. How do I get you some money? I don't know, man. I don't have an ID card. I'm like, you're literally they just dumped you out the back door of the jail. Yep. I'm like, I've had that happen to me. I twice now. I remember after I was indicted, I spent only a day and it was snowing in Seattle, Tacoma. And they just literally opened the door and I walked out and I was like,
you're free.
I don't have a cell phone. I didn't bring my wallet. They told me not to bring anything. I'm like, wow. I went up to Starbucks and can I use your phone? We don't let customers use phone. Can I use your cell phone? She looked at me like, I just got out of jail across the street. I need to call. Okay. She handed me my phone, and I called my wife. Where are you at? Come pick me up. I didn't even have a sweater. It was snowing. Right. And I had it happen to me in Idaho. Same thing. You just get dumped out. Like, here you go. You're like, all right. So he just gets dumped out. Well, then, what do you do? So he spends a night or two just on the streets, literally. And now he's starting to acquire things, right? Someone gave him a bedroll. Someone gave him a sleeping bag. Who are the people giving him these things? Clearly the homeless people.
Yeah, well, hopefully he doesn't have a shopping cart now.
Oh, dude, he's carrying around a rucksack.
Oh,
and
wonderful.
He's hiking everywhere. But it took us, he's been out a month or more now. He just barely got his paper license. We had to resolve issues in other states. It was like, oh my goodness, what a nightmare. So couldn't get a bank account, right? So we're finally to the point. Next week he'll get his ID card. We're going to get him a bank account, and we're going to get him a bus ticket. And if that, at that point, it's like, let's at least get you out of where you're at. Like, you need a fresh start. And the other thing too is his charges came from the VA, and that's where he needs to go for medical care. And of course they all, have in their file, like, do not help this man.
Oh,
so it's even worse. And he had to get something approved, and it went to the base commander, and a base commander happens to be the person he whistle blew on to get this whole party started in the first place.
Are you kidding?
He's like, so when it came back tonight, he's like, these people hate me. I'm like, yeah, you need to get out of town, bro. Like, lower your expectations for them somehow honoring their oath and just get out of town. All right. So this is the CEO of Old Glory Bank, who is someone who at 1776 Live we recommend and work with. I actually have a conference call with this guy later this week. And actually, it won't be this week. It'll be next week now. But anyways, he called out Brian Moynihan from Bank of America, who after Trump basically said they wouldn't open a bank account for me. I had billion dollars to deposit. He said no. Well, this guy here was like, not the case. Because Brian Moynihan made it sound in his response, which we played a couple days ago, that while it's true they denied banking, that we need to do the reform because, there's like national security things. And basically the government was telling us not to bank with you. And what are we supposed to do? Well, the CEO of Old Glory Bank calls him out on that.
Calling out Brian Moynihan, the CEO of Bank of America, right now with a $100,000 bet to a charity of your choice that you are not telling the truth. It was your choice to not bank Donald Trump. There is nothing in the Bank Secrecy Act, nothing in the regulations promulgated thereunder. I've been a lawyer for 30 years. I've read them. Have you? It was your choice, and you need to man.
I got to point something out before we listen to the rest of this. He has the creature from Jekyll Island on his bookshelf. Do you know how significant that is? Where's my copy? Is it? Do you know how significant it is that he has the creature of Jekyll Island sitting on his bookshelf and he's the CEO of a bank? Everybody needs to bank there. Okay. If you're not banking at Old Glory Bank, go start a savings account there for your kids or something. Send some business this man's way.
Up and tell the truth. Watch him on CNBC.
Joining me right here in Aspen is Bank of America's CEO Brian Moynihan. We talked to President Trump on Squawk Box about this executive order that he's planning around banks who he thinks discriminated against conservatives. And your name came up. And so I just wanted to show you what he said and wanted to get your reaction to.
This was after I got out, by the way. I call up Bank of America routinely, and I speak to him, and I speak to a couple of people, and they have zero interest. Brian was kissing my ass when I was president, and when I called him after I was president to deposit $1 billion, more importantly, to open accounts, and he said, we can't do it. No, we can't do it.
But look, the president's after the right thing, which is the laws, rules, and regulations around our industry became used to cause things to happen. It's whether it's BSA, ML, whether it's KYC, whether it's reputational risk.
Folks, did you hear how he played with words? Never did he say that Trump was wrong. He tried to throw out a bunch of BSA, ML, KYC. It's all mumble jumble. He's deflecting. He made a choice. And it's okay, Moynihan, if you don't Trump, but tell the truth. We bank everybody. We're a pro-America bank. Come on my podcast and prove me wrong. $100,000 will go to a charity of your choice. Mike Ring at oldglorybank.com. Mike Ring at oldglorybank.com. It's time you stand behind your words and your decisions. And folks, do not trust these people now. They cannot change. They can't even tell the truth about their action. Bank with Old Glory Bank. We don't debank people who disagree with us. We don't improperly share your data. We proudly bank J6ers. There's nothing that prevents that. We would love to bank Donald Trump and his family. Quit misleading America. Own your decisions.
I love that. That's a CEO of a bank.
I wonder what their leverage ratio is.
What their leverage ratio? Hopefully 1 to 10.
Right. I'm just wondering if they're like trying to beat out that Silicon Valley bank.
But he's right. These people can't.
Oh no, he's not wrong. He's definitely right.
You know, they made a choice. They for personal expediency, when the times get hard, they ran. I'm sorry, I can't bank with you. Yeah. But you're president, come around all around the tin cup asking for regulation relief and whatever. They're crooks, man. I mean, say what you want about banking. It is what it is. But again, you got to stand behind your decisions. I love the fact that he's calling him out. I've always assumed Wells Fargo had no choice. I've always assumed they got a letter from Treasury or a letter from the FBI, something that then triggered them saying you're a security threat or whatever. But now I don't think that's the case. Now I think Wells Fargo just did it, which again is horrible.
Well, I got a beef with Wells Fargo, so I'm never banking with them again.
I found it fun. There was something that came out. Someone was talking about Wells Fargo, and I was just like, been there, done that.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is, what is his name? Stitchfield talking with, Finkham. Okay. He used to be an Arizona representative. He lost his election. I think he ran for, I think attorney general and lost that election. Now he's down in Arizona. He was involved with all the voter stuff going on down there in 2020. He got involved with the cyber symposium and getting that kicked off, and going after that kind of ended his political career. But where every door closes, another door opens. He's been doing this research project into ActBlue, and he found out some interesting things. So we're going to take a listen to this because, again, we as Americans are virtuous. We as Americans have a very gregarious personality, and we just want to go have a good time and look at alligators and shoot guns, right? That's who we are. We don't oftentimes see the things that are happening just below the surface, below our eye line. And he who went out and found some stuff, this is about ActBlue.
So we have this architecture that when you buy a house, generally it goes into escrow. You have a title company that handles the escrow, and there are a number of documents that go into it. So just at a broad scale, let's imagine you buy a house. Grant Stitchfield buys a house for $200,000, and it's funded by one of the North American banks. We'll just say Wells Fargo. Please don't sue me. All the records, including the mortgage, the deed of trust, the Alta insurance policy, all of those records are recorded in the county record. Then just a few minutes later, your $200,000 house suddenly has a $200 million magic mortgage that comes through. It's nothing but a wire that goes through the title company. There's no lender involved because it's a hard money loan, what they call a cash hard money loan. But because it goes through a title company, there's no notation of who the lender is. And it goes on through the system. Now, what's interesting is, and this is what caught our attention, these are ActBlue officers, corporate officers. Once we found one, it led to another and another and another and another. So we have them all over the nation. And this is just one small fragment of the human map. You leave this digital dust, if you will. This is one small fragment.
You have all of these gigantic financial transactions. Now the question becomes, how do they funnel that back into the campaigns? Is that the small dollar donations that we see that show up at some lady's house and she's donated to ActBlue 52 times and she knows nothing about it?
Well, that's just one small aspect of it. So James O'Keefe, got to give that guy credit with the whole smurfing piece that he's done. And we got to be careful about what we're calling this. This is a research project because we're not licensed investigators. We want to make sure that people understand that this money is going into organizations that this architecture was set up by Barack Obama.
I got to correct something. Sounds like he still is a current Arizona state senator. I thought he'd been voted out, but it's Mark Finkham.
Obama to spread cash around the country and to put money into political action committees, into non-government organizations, to fund candidates, to set up the whole architecture for a public relations machine, read basically propaganda machine, to promote the whole concept that we're a team. We've got great funding. It's all behind us. So here in Arizona, for example, the Arizona Democrat Party, not more than about 5 weeks ago, it replaced their chairman because their fundraising is 25% of what it was last year. Well, where did all the donors go? So what we're talking about here,
that's catastrophic.
Whoa.
That's catastrophic. I mean, what he's saying here is millions of dollars were funneling through these real estate transactions.
Mm-hmm.
So not only are you sucking up a property and who knows what you're doing for or who you're renting it to, but that's how you're laundering in millions of dollars to these people who then somehow take another step and distribute it to the campaigns and the candidates. It's a fraud. The entire
I wonder if
for those of us who watch this,
if you funnel this cash through here, then you get your house paid for. Kind of thing.
He's saying $200,000 house with a $20 million loan.
Right.
Our funding's 25% down. Well, maybe because someone's looking under the covers. I know ActBlue is being looked at in Minnesota. It's being looked at in Texas. I know the DOJ is looking at it. These guys are looking at it. They're probably like,
and all of a sudden the funds dried up.
Yeah, the funds dried up. Where's our campaign funds? Where are our donors? You ever considered you never had any? I mean, you're talking about Democrats and free stuff. Do you really think they're going to give you money?
Grant, is wholesale fraud, where the money is distributed by ActBlue officers. And now, because we're not federal law enforcement, we don't know exactly where it went. But that's why we've turned it over to U.S. attorneys.
And that brings me to the real news, I guess, is that you have handed this over to the Department of Justice. What has been their response of taking the evidence? We'll call it evidence because, nothing's been proven yet. I'd like to get ActBlue's response on all of this. But you turn over this evidence to DOJ. What do they say to you?
We are now engaged in conversations with a number of U.S. attorneys, former U.S. attorneys, lawyers who are not yet confirmed U.S. attorneys. So there is great interest. I've got to believe that Attorney General Pam Bondi has forwarded this out to the folks that are the financial crimes folks. And by the way, the AG, we also sent it to the IRS Criminal Division and to the FBI. So Director Patel also has this.
I got to say, I've, encountering a handful of people that are dealing with the IRS for various issues. Dude, the fact that the IRS goes after some of the little fish is the most insulting thing. Like talking to someone that's on basically retirement benefits and, the IRS needs $9,000 from me. I don't have it. And I'm like, I can't even believe they're wasting their time. No. It's costing them more to send you letters and deal with your file than they'll ever collect. It's
a turnip.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable what the IRS will do and what they'll chase after. But yet, turn this over to the criminal division and, they'll stew on it for years and years and years and years and years. By the way, I got my transcripts back with AI went through the transcripts and found all the violations of law against me in my case. It's pretty good. Should we go through it? Yeah, we'll go through it here in a minute. So this ActBlue thing, again, this is a slow burn. We've been talking about this for a long time. ActBlue was the funding arm for BLM. ActBlue has been the funding arm for Antifa. ActBlue is just involved in every nefarious little thing you can think of. They're an incredible, we have so many donors. Look at all our little donors. Project Veritas goes door to door. Did you make 4,700 donations to
What are you talking about?
ActBlue, what's ActBlue? I'm a Republican, Well, your address and your name have been used.
What?
Yeah, so then, we updated our security. Now you have to put the code on the back of the card and funding went down. Okay, so got rid of the smurfing, or at least part of it. And it's like every, USA goes down. ActBlue apparently was getting money funneled through USAID or whatever. That hurts. Discover this mortgage fraud. All of a sudden, these directors are like, I got some pretty big loans that I have to pay back. They're totally legitimate. I'm paying them back, Judge. I'm paying them back.
Yeah, I remember when we first heard about this ActBlue, it was like, we were like not shocked. It was like, how are they funding all this? It's like, this must be one of the ways.
Yeah. Yes. Then you've got, let me find, I must have closed it.
Oh no.
It happens. It happens. Okay, give me just a moment. So then I wanted to show you guys this. This is from back when Andrew McCabe started the investigation on Donald Trump. So General Flynn, when he was fired, when Donald Trump fired him, told him, watch out for Andrew McCabe. He was the deputy director of the FBI. And here's why. Andrew McCabe, this is the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Electronic Communications. So this is where he orders the opening of the investigation into Donald Trump. At the direction of the assistant deputy for the FBI's counterintelligence division, that was Andrew McCabe, following consultation with the Office of the General Counsel, the FBI is opening, and this would have been their case thing, based on an articulable, factual basis that reasonably indicates that President Donald Trump may or has been wittingly or unwittingly involved in activities for and on behalf of the government of the Russian Federation, which may constitute violations of federal laws and statutes, blah, blah, blah. They wrote that down on paper. And they knew. We now know they knew that was fake.
Yeah.
And here's the thing.
And lie. It's not just fake. It's a lie.
They knew it was fake and it was a lie, right? John Solomon broke this. They did a little digging through Obama's speeches and stuff like that. Turns out Obama might have been the first one to bring this up.
Obama may have given us a smoking gun, sir.
He did, yeah. He's either the first president in American history because he seemed to know on December 19th, before the CIA redone the intelligence committee assessment, what its outcome was, or more likely, he knew the fix was in. This is NPR, and I guess he forgot that they hadn't done the work yet. So he tells NPR expects the CIA to reverse itself and conclude that Vladimir Putin tried to help Donald Trump. The problem is the CIA hasn't really even started the work. It just got going. And he's so embarrassed, he comes back later and tries to walk it back a little bit. Oh, things are still going on. We'll have to see where it goes. It is the sort of proof that John Durham should have found in his investigation, but didn't. But for this point going forward, when you try to prove it was just a long 10-year conspiracy, this is a really, really significant piece of evidence. And I'll walk people back to Watergate because you mentioned it for a second. The moment Republicans bolted on Richard Nixon, the epic event that caused them to do it was when they got the tapes and they realized that Nixon had asked the CIA to try to stop the FBI from investigating the burglary. By the way, the CIA didn't do it, but the mere fact that a president would consider asking the CIA to do something political, it was enough for an entire party to bolt on their president. Here, Obama asked the CIA to come up with a concocted thing, and he seems to know the outcome before the work's even done. You've got the FBI pressuring the CIA to put a bogus Christopher Steele document in the intelligence assessment. And of course, you got the FBI helping Hillary Clinton carry out the whole dirty trick. It is just on the standards of Watergate. It is epically worse than anything we saw in Watergate. And the Democratic Party just yawns at it in our face every day. That's why consequences matter. If we don't punish this behavior, we're going to go from the greatest constitutional republic the world has known to a perennial banana republic.
That is the concern. And for the people that are like, well, we don't want to be a banana republic, we got to let these guys off the hook, just a little slap on the wrist, we'll just name and shame them. No, that would be being the banana republic. You think those people aren't going to come back? They put Harrison Floyd in jail. They put me in jail. They were trying to put Donald Trump in jail for 700 years. They probably shot at him. Oh, but we don't want to be back and forth. Don't let them weaponize your virtue. These are not nice English tourists that just want to go see an alligator and shoot a gun. Okay. This is the scorpion and the frog story. Okay. You got to learn. And here's the thing. We know by your fruits you shall know them. It's my opinion. Once burned once, stay away. Once you touch the hot stove, stop touching it. Looking into the history of Bill Barr, he covered up the Iran-Contra affair. He wrote an executive summary that was inaccurate to the actual Investigator General's report that came out years later under Clinton, right? He did that. His dad hired Jeffrey Epstein. That happened. His dad wrote a book about sex trafficking kids in space. It's the weirdest thing. It actually happened. That's all real. Okay. Project Veritas has a 2-part series, and this is part 2, Whistleblower. Bill Barr held secret meetings and plot prosecutions of Trump and block his political comeback. Project Veritas Thursday released part of its, this is credit to Christina Layla. Bill Barr released part of his whistleblower investigation into the former U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr. On Tuesday, Project Veritas released a bombshell story from a whistleblower alleging U.S. Attorney General Barr, along with media figure Armstrong Williams, is running an illegal immigration visa fraud scheme for elites and billionaires. Patricia Lillis, whistleblower from Brazilian, I knew she was Brazilian. I knew it, and I could tell it from her handwriting. I had to go back and look at her handwriting and make sure it wasn't in Portuguese. That's hilarious. Former Brazilian journalist at Howard Strick Holdings, who is in hiding abroad, told Project Veritas she was prosecuted after Bill Barr and Armstrong William, after reporting Bill Barr and Armstrong William to the FBI. On Thursday, Project Veritas released video of Lillis explaining how Bill Barr plotted prosecutions to block Trump as a political opponent from coming back. Bill Barr was like, we should bring RICO because it's a very difficult type of charge to defend, Layla said. Texts and emails reveal Fulton County DA Fani Willis and Bill Barr worked together on the RICO case, targeting Trump for more than a dozen defendants. So here, look here. She goes, at that point, I didn't have an idea who she worked with. Hello, Patricia. Please save my number. This is Fabi Willis. If you need to reach me on behalf of Bill Barr, feel free to call me or message me on this number. Patricia, despite your disagreements with Armstrong, which I hope will soon be resolved soon, Armstrong needs you to be able to deliver us all the notes of our meetings between Barr and Mrs. Willis. Could you leave all your notes in the office today, please? We need you to return the company notebook. Remember that legally you cannot keep any record of your work. And guess what? This is part of the cover-up. Bill Barr was meeting with Fani Willis. Think about that for a second. The same Bill Barr that wouldn't look into election fraud, that wouldn't look into any of that stuff. Part two, here's where she talks about it. We're just going to play the beginning of this. So this is the whistleblower being interviewed.
Easy to know why I am being persecuted and no one else. It's being charged or persecuted. It's very easy. I called the FBI to report Bill Barr and Armstrong Williams. I have notes of every single meeting. One meeting can be about visa for someone, or another meeting can be about January 6th or RICO case. I have a quote here that was like, Barr believes the FBI will go to Trump House soon. And one thing that I heard a lot is like how they go to prevent America to have Trump again. One thing that I learned very fast and very in the beginning is like Bill Barr is someone extremely important. And I remember the biggest conversation they had at that point, it is like, what kind of charge that we can bring against Trump? And that's when Bill Barr, and I will never forget that, Bill Barr was like, we should bring RICO because it's a very difficult type of charge to defend.
So she goes on to basically just describe all the, she was, just in there taking notes, taking minutes, and just watching this huge thing unfold in front of her. Bill Barr, the Attorney General for Donald Trump, colluding with Fani Willis, who's hired her paramour and paid him more money than he's ever made and never prosecuted even a felony case. And here he is prosecuting the President of the United States. Bill Barr. Bill Barr. Is there any wonder why I was indicted under Bill Barr? Is there any wonder why Bill Barr wouldn't look into the election charges and now Jeffrey Clark is like getting his law license taken away because he had the evidence and was like, hey, we're just going to open a little investigation here. And Bill Barr's like, no, I already looked into the fraud. I don't know when he did, sitting on the toilet or something, reading Politico. You know what I'm saying? Like, unbelievable.
I remember when we were first started this podcast and his name would come up, and I remember having like high hopes.
Oh my gosh, me too. Everybody did. Yeah. What really did it for me was when I found out about Iran-Contra. And by the way, Iran-Contra, remember Jeffrey Epstein ties into that story. This is the cabal. That slowly but surely the smoke is clearing and we're seeing this cabal. It's the Clintons, it's the Obamas, it's the Bidens, it's all of their chiefs, their deputies, their little, those are machines, right? You've got Bill Barr. He's part of this Bush machine. Bush is involved in this. These guys are, we have been run by a cabal. I don't know exactly where Reagan fit in all this. I really don't. If you go read the book Transformation of America, Reagan's not a good guy, but he's like this weird intermediary good guy where he does bad things, but he's our bad guy. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of a weird deal.
But for a lot of Republicans, there's a weird, really nice place in their heart for him.
And probably rightly so, because you can't believe everything, right? But either way, Reagan also was kind of that outsider. He was coming to buck the system, right? Mm-hmm. He kind of had that.
Well, he was an outsider, but he was also like an insider because he was part of Hollywood.
He was an inside outsider, exactly. But so was Trump. He's part of Hollywood, had a TV show, right? But then he's different too. So I don't know. I'm not making a judgment, but I just know that George H.W. Bush under Reagan did a lot of stuff. He was involved in a lot of things, and he'd previously been a CIA director, a lot of stuff, right? So it's just endlessly curious. But when I learned about Bill Barr's background in covering up Iran-Contra, I was like, no. See, we can always forgive people, especially when they openly admit their errors. I made a mistake. I wrote a report. I made a mistake. I was blackmailed, whatever. Just state your reasons and say it. But when you're
running an operation like that, it's not a mistake.
Exactly. So it's like, state your reasons and we can move on. Yeah. Confess your sins and we'll move on. But when you don't, and you cover it up and you maintain this aura. The other thing that was a big trigger for me too, and I have this with Kavanaugh. So when Kavanaugh was being confirmed, Lindsey Graham, right, came into this new Lindsey Graham 2.0 where he's like, we got to confirm this guy, blah, blah, blah. But he said something and he was yelling at his colleagues in the Senate. And he was like, this is not Trump's guy. This is our guy. We selected him. This is our guy. And you guys are fighting this like it's the end of the planet, he's like, and he's our guy. And I kept thinking how that was so weird. He's like, he's not Trump's guy, he's our guy. And I was thinking like the Heritage Foundation, the Republicans, like, because Kavanaugh's one of the ones who drafted the Patriot Act. Like maybe it's just, he's a neocon or whatever it is. That's another one where I have this huge question in my mind. I'm just waiting for Kavanaugh to disappoint me because he's our guy. And I'm wondering who R is. It's kind
part of the cabal.
Who's the they? Yeah, exactly. Laura Logan had Trennis Evans on. We played a clip from this yesterday, and he's talking about actually, you know what? I'm going to wait on this particular one.
Okay.
This one needs a minute, but I wanted to show you this here. So this has to do with illegal immigration. So Scott Adams has been making a point because the Trump administration was talking about how we're going to arrest the bad people, the violent people, the criminals, but how do you sort those people out? Scott Adams is like, they're raiding Home Depots. That's not where the violent criminals are at. My experience was different. I hired a guy from a Home Depot parking lot for a year, only to find out after a year he was a gang member and actively doing gang things in the evening. I was the day job. And so I could have just been like, oh, he's a hard worker. Apparently that's not the case. So there are real gang members that do really bad things at Home Depot that will come and cut your lawn for $10. Like, I almost wonder if that's their cover, to be completely honest with you. So this man, he fled Haiti and became integral to a conservative community. Now they're fighting his deportation. So this man is from Haiti, and after his good friend was kidnapped, he decided it's time to get out of Haiti. And he headed up to Ohio, where a bunch of Haitian immigrants were being deposited, and he ended up getting a job up there. And here's why. Once he was in Ohio, he was granted temporary protection status, or TPS, along with a work permit, which allowed him to fill critical teaching and translating roles in the area of Akron with teacher shortages. Well, that sounds legitimate. If you've got teacher shortage, someone coming in and teach, particularly for Haitian Creole speakers.
What?
In Ohio. So we have a teaching shortage. So isn't it great that these immigrants can fill the need? Yeah, but I didn't realize there was a large Haitian Creole population in Ohio, and I understand the difficulty of getting people who speak Creole in Ohio. But why do we have this problem again? Oh, because we've just been depositing these migrants here. Okay, well, is there anyone amongst them that's qualified to teach? That's basically what happened here.
Oh boy.
He was a teacher. Andy Shea, who was also a teacher in Springfield, Ohio, was thrown into the spotlight during his presidential election last year as Haitian immigrants have come into Northwest Ohio. Why does the screen keep blacking out like that? What's going on? Into Northwest Ohio with the promise of housing and opportunities. The quick population boom created some housing shortages and strains on healthcare facilities, according to local officials. But don't worry about that. They're not eating the cats or dogs, though. Don't worry about that. On June 27th, the administration announced that it would terminate the TPS for Haitians. So this guy's, his community is kind of rallying around him, trying to get support to get him not deported. I don't know what to think of this. I'm at the point where I'm like, again, we talk about Haiti specifically. You have to talk about the Clinton Foundation. So now I'm still back to this cabal thing. Why do I have to pay for all of your sins? Why do I have to be subject to all of these problems? You've dumped this on me. This is not, hey, you're a British tourist, let's go shoot guns. You can't drop 20,000 people in a community in Northwest Ohio, create strain on housing, strain on the ER systems, and strain on the school system, and then hire one of the illegal immigrants to teach school, and then be like, oh, well, he can't be deported. Like, it's a package. Go teach school in Haiti. Take those kids, take them all, transport the entire classroom to Haiti, and just let them continue down there, but pay them $5 a day instead of $500 a day. How about that? How about that? Why don't we get the same bang for our buck and do... It is such an impossible conversation. We want to be those good Americans that take the foreigner out on a trip to see the alligators. We want to be accommodating, but it's starting to strain our very capacity to be accommodating.
Well, think of it this way. When the one guy shows up at the dock, goes, hey, man, can I get a ride on the boat? Yeah, cool. Jump in. What if 20,000 people showed up at the dock?
Hey, can I get a ride?
Hey, can I get a ride? It's like, bro.
It's unreal.
How could you accommodate them all? You can't.
It's unreal. So this is Laura Logan talking with, what is his name? Jason Jones. And he's talking about the deportation and what needs to be done there.
Popular question for some. Do you really think that you can remove 15 to 18 million people who've come here illegally just in 4 years?
No.
Can you even move half of that?
Well, let's stick to what's important, though, right?
Yeah.
Protecting the American people. Eventually, you can do it. But you have to get the violence and those violent offenders who can hurt families out. You have to.
That's... I mean, as difficult as that is, as fraught as that is with risk, it's still something that most Americans can wrap their head around, right? I mean, it doesn't make sense to, even if you're, a Democrat and you don't want to believe it and whatever, you see these people being killed by illegal immigrants, and there are a growing number all the time now because they've let so many people in. And when you've gone to, like the president of Venezuela did, go into the prisons, recruit the most violent criminals, and then create a cartel out of them, you've now put an army of killers, murderers, and rapists on the streets of the United States.
How do you separate them?
I don't know.
How do you sort them out? 18 million. Can we even do it in 4 years? And he's pretty frank. No.
Yeah. But that's just being real.
Yeah. But you got to start. You got to start wherever they're at. Wherever they're at, you got to go get them. Sapphire Patriot says, deport them all. Yeah. Start deporting them all. And if they go quietly and nicely, maybe they can reapply and come back in after their background check has been passed. And this thing it's so broad, right? So this is another one, James O'Keefe Media Group. Let me make sure James O'Keefe Media Group. They had a whistleblower from, her name's Clarissa Rippey. Whistleblower blows the lid off the #1 child sex trafficking organization on the planet, the Biden-Harris administration. Unaccompanied children are being treated like commodities, like potato chips on a truck. Whistleblower exposes a $347 million contract for transporting unaccompanied minors.
Wow.
You know what you know, you cannot unknow. My line in the sand was in the moment when I found out that GSA had awarded a contract to a company to transport unaccompanied minors. So let's listen to just a couple minutes of her whistleblower testimony.
Sand moment was when I found out that GSA had awarded a contract to a company to transport unaccompanied minors.
What was that like for you?
It was like someone kicked me in my gut. Once I found out about the contract, I that night, I got on my computer and I started doing a Google search.
Action obligation, 40 million. Total contract value, 347 million, but that's over $250 million. That's a lot of money to transport unaccompanied children. I mean, this is a big money business.
And that's why we're sitting here today, because as I shared before, what you know, you cannot unknow.
The crisis of conscience would only grow and reach inside the holy grail of the unaccompanied child transportation business. There's the white buses right there. That's the FedEx transportation hub for the unaccompanied minor children. They stop the transportation of children. They stop the money.
My name is Clarissa Rippey.
I want to be clear about this.
And where do you
Statistics show pretty much every unaccompanied minor that comes across the border has been raped. And then they're transporting them to places unknown and untracked. They're not meeting with law enforcement to get statements and things like that. No, they're just being shuttled.
I work for General Services Administration, aka GSA.
And for those who are not familiar with what GSA is or what it does, can you talk a little about that?
GSA, it basically manages all the services for the federal government. Then you have the transportation side of GSA that manages like travel, transportation, and logistics, that's the area that I'm working in right now.
And what sort of thing do you do in that department?
I'm what's called an 1102. I'm a contract specialist, and my responsibility is to work with contractors that provide products and services to the federal government. And I work on a team of contracting officers, and we award those contracts.
NGO stands for non-governmental organization.
That they knew being shipped at every out, anyone that they knew being shipped at every hour of the day, especially like late at night when we're all asleep in our beds and our children are safe at home. These children were being shipped all over the place.
Shipped over, and that must have made you feel guilty.
Yeah.
For having this promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And that was your line in the sand moment. And we also have some documents here that we've been provided by you. Just tell me what this one here indicates.
This is a GSA contract that was awarded to MV.
Which goes in to talk about, they'd get reports back on the suffering and the things that were happening, and they're just like, keep shipping, keep sending, because you're just a bag of potato chips. I mean, it's super sad. These people.
Super dark.
If they're not held accountable, this will continue. It just gets worse and worse. It never gets better. It cannot self-correct itself unless we correct it, which is really what General Flynn is saying here. If we don't self-correct it, it won't correct itself. But we have the power to do it.
We have an accountability issue that must be dealt with. And I keep telling those foreign leaders that I talk to and the ambassadors that I see in Washington, D.C. periodically, I keep telling them, do not mistake what we're going through internally here in the United States of America as a weakness. This is a strength of our constitutional order. And as ugly as we are operating inside of our family, we're going to fix these problems. We're going to hold people accountable. Trump has to do that. He's got to assure to the American people that is going to happen. He is the chief law enforcement officer for the country, not the attorney general. We have an accountability issue that must be dealt with.
Absolutely.
And
right.
I keep telling.
And we have the mechanisms of power now. Now people have to grow a spine and use it. No more Bill Barrs. No more, oh, he's our hero. Remember all the memes with him like arresting Hillary Clinton, walking out of the, I just remember Q, trust Barr. Oh my God, it was trust Sessions first. And then it was like Bill Barr. Don't trust any of it.
Yeah.
Just fruits, accountability. This is, so now we'll go back and listen to Laura Logue again. This was her and Trace Ennis talking about General Flynn.
Off to the Department of Justice and the attorney.
This goes with the guy that was in prison because he helped a kid from falling, right? That the system just isn't set up right. And General Flynn took some of the worst potentials that our system would have. Like even when the government dropped the case, the judge wouldn't.
Admitted that they had no case against Mike Flynn, that they'd manufactured the case. He refused to drop it.
No, another man of courage, right? He's been symbolic in leadership and the idea of how to respond to this kind of lawfare and what to do. And I think it drove him. Look where he is now. He can't stop. He just keeps coming for them. And these things that were once called conspiracy theories and the McCabe's and all the nonsense.
Now the evidence is out.
All the Russiagate and all the nonsense, Russian collusion, all this nonsense. And now where are we? How's that working out for him?
Yeah. Got to hold him accountable. So Now, touching on COVID, I feel sometimes when I do the show prep, I'm like, are there only 5 things happening in the world?
It's just the 5 things you're looking at.
Apparently, my echo chamber's like real condensed. I think I have broad stuff, but then it's like, man, well, here's another COVID. But again, these things have impacted every single. You have not been impacted by this,
right?
You have not been impacted by this. Even sports fans had to listen to political drivel. From Steve Kerr, from Steve Kerr's interviews and talk about how bad Trump is and Russia this and, thing after. You couldn't escape this. You couldn't escape the mask Nazis. You couldn't escape the close downs and shutdowns of public places and things like that. Like, couldn't escape it.
6 foot safe.
And think about how many people got vaccinated under duress, under coercion, because of being talked into it,
under executive orders,
under
by state
executive orders in some cases.
Yeah,
it's a big deal. They asked to put something in your body without properly explaining what it was, where it came from, how it had been tested, and what it would do.
Just shut up and take the shot,
and then you can go back to work. And you'll still get sick, but at least you've taken the shot. Well, Dr. Hatfield is part of the working group at the CDC, NIH, whatever it is, that's been going over all the vaccine stuff. And they just banned the mRNA vaccines, or basically cut funding to the 22 projects, and then took the mRNA vaccine off of the schedule of approved vaccines for respiratory viruses, and coronavirus and whatnot. Well, Dr. Hatfield gets into some of that data because Bannon and others have been critical. Like, you can't just do a press release. Like, you got to give us the data.
Through what led to the decision of finally getting, stopping the underwriting of American taxpayer for this experimental gene therapy, sir?
Hi, Stephen. Good to see you once again. What happened is that the data had accumulated to the point where meta-analysis studies could be done. These are very comprehensive analysis, and it virtually came back consistently that there was no benefit to risk ratio for taking a messenger RNA vaccine. In fact, it was more dangerous to take a vaccine than it was to contract COVID-19 and be hospitalized with it. We're now in 2022 that this data started to come out. The side effects for this essentially gene therapy was so enormous and progressive, it was difficult to fathom. And then finally, a few months ago,
difficult to fathom. For those of us kooks that have been looking into this for years, it's like, honestly, somebody sneezed, we're like, oh, might be dying. Every single person that dies, we're like, did they get vaxxed? Why? Because the list of side effects are miles long. Everything from infections of flesh-eating diseases, strokes, myocarditis, blood-brain barrier issues, behavioral problems, pretty much anything dealing with your gut, susceptibility, basically VAIDS, right? AIDS. People were getting autoimmune deficiency problems left and right. It's like everything. It seemed like everything had a touch on this, which almost makes it go, well, maybe nothing is it. Maybe this is all, correlation.
You just died with COVID, not from COVID.
Yeah, instead he's like, it's hard to fathom.
Detailed biochemistry studies started to appear in the literature. And the sudden flood of messenger RNA, it appears irrespective of what the messenger RNA insert is coding for. Just the sheer amount of number of millions of molecules of messenger RNA entering the cell is creating biochemical havoc. It's disrupting protein metabolism. It's interfering with tumor suppressor genes. It's damaging the mitochondria, the powerhouses of the cell. It had to be stopped.
It's so bad that they couldn't tell you how bad it was. They just said, we're cutting funding. That's how bad it is. That's really what's going on. They can't come out and say how bad it was. Because even Trump the other day in the White House again was like, well, the warp speed was great. And a lot of people go, yeah, well, warp speed was great. It's too bad we warped into mRNA. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you got all of government moving and you showed us just how corrupt they are.
I know. It's moments like that where it's like, dang it, I wonder if Trump is really the bad guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Weedham Boys is, how could they say no long-term side effects when it was only out for months at that point? That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true. And anybody who studied birth control for women, that's, birth control became very popular before the long-term side effects really became well known. And yeah, interesting. Another little deal here. This is the Ghislaine Maxwell. They wanted to release all the grand jury information. They're not doing it. The court wouldn't give the grand jury information to Ghislaine Maxwell to review. So she's like, well, to preserve my rights and stuff, I have to say no. If you won't even let me see it, I would let it be released. That's what she says in her little report. I believe that 100%.
That makes sense.
If you came to me and said, we want to release your grand jury information to the public,
but you won't show it to me?
Hey, do you mind if I take a look at it just to make sure?
No,
we're not doing that. It's just straight to the public. So you need my consent to go straight to the public without letting me see what's in there.
Yeah.
What if you lied about me? Because people are going to take it like gospel truth.
Well, 100% there's going to be a lie in there.
Yeah. So again, not the Trump's problem, not Ghislaine Maxwell's problem. It's the court's problem. And in fairness, they shouldn't release it.
Yeah.
In fairness, they shouldn't release it. Another thing that happened yesterday was, I always say, remember the names. I can't remember his name. It'll come to me as he's talking here. But they're talking about the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the misreporting on the jobs numbers. Yeah.
Judge, thank you, Mr. President. So I called the president because I had some very good news from some new data that we've been able to put together that no one has ever seen before. And I'll just very quickly go through these. So I was telling the president that he did the right thing in calling for a new head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, because this shows that over the last 2 years of the Biden administration, the BLS overestimated job creation by 1.5 million jobs. Mr. President, that's a gigantic error. And I don't know if I'm not.
It might not have been an error. That's the bad part. If it was an error, it would be one thing. I don't think it's an error. I think they did it purposely.
Whether that, you may well be right, but even if it wasn't purposefully, it's incompetence.
Right.
No matter who's reporting these kind of numbers, I don't believe these numbers ever. Like, it's just like when they report CPI, it's like, yeah, it's doctored.
Yeah. Trump is getting it, though. He's starting to get it. He's like, no, they're fake. Yep. Like, again, the goodness is, well, they're just incompetence. It can't all just be incompetent. Like, at a certain point, you're like, your incompetence borders on negligence.
Yeah.
Your incompetence borders on intentional. So
yes, and it's on the intentional side of, an accident.
Why are all the errors in one direction?
Exactly.
Why is all the bias in one direction? Yes.
How come they never self-correct?
This goes along with the FBI agent saying, well, your husband participated in a attempted overthrow of the government.
Right.
It's like, so everything is going to bias to that one direction.
Right.
You're only going to see conservatives in the light of terrorists, and you're not going to see their opposition to it.
Right.
Or people who oppose it as terrorist equivalent.
Right. They're not patriotic. They're terrorists.
Yeah, they're not patriotic. They're terrorists. It's like, you can't have that premise.
Yeah.
You can't have that premise. They're just people. Either you take them at face value or just put your logos on, strap on your team play, and Democrats can't investigate Republicans and Republicans can't investigate Democrats. On we go. So in all of everything that's going on, you've got the Epstein stuff. You've got the Russiagate grand conspiracy that's happening. The prosecution that's potentially kicking off. You've got ActBlue being undermined. You've got the redistricting going on, a call for a new census, which if it happens is going to shift to the Republicans like 40 seats. It's a big deal. Big deal.
Got a lot of FBI dudes getting let go.
FBI dudes getting let go. Pam Bondi came out yesterday and offered a $50 million reward for information leading to the arrest of Maduro, which, by the way, at a certain point, his own lieutenants are going to turn on him and be like, we'll take the cash.
Yeah.
You're worth more dead than alive. That's what they're doing. They're up in the ante. It was 20 million or 25 million. Now it's 50 million. And I really think they should put on their dead or alive and then put on their guaranteed payment to anybody. You'll have some gangster with like 4 teardrops come down his eye and bring his head and be like, I want my 50 million. Done. There you go. By the way, you're also now in the top 10 most wanted, but we'll let you cross the border and have fair start. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with all of that, it kind of harkens back to this critical flux. I remember in 2020 when Trump had just overcome impeachment, it was obvious he was going to not get impeached or, convicted at the impeachment. And the economy was roaring. And you know, he was coming into that last year, and it was like, this man is a force of nature. He's really whipped Washington around, disrupted a bunch, exposed a bunch of people, just survived an impeachment. And then at the same time in China, they had this virus breakout. Well, guess what?
Breaking tonight, a viral outbreak in China prompts the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, to issue a travel warning. More than 7,000 cases of this disease have been reported so far. State Department correspondent Jillian Turner has details tonight, live from the State Department. Good evening, Jillian.
Good evening, Brett. The CDC, as you mentioned, is warning Americans traveling to China about chikungunya. It is a virus that spreads to humans through infected mosquito bites. It can cause severe illness with symptoms that mimic pretty closely dengue fever and Zika virus, mostly found in Africa. Here's what the CDC says about it. They say most people infected get better within a week. However, some can have severe joint pain for months to years. Other symptoms include severe fever and fatigue. The outbreak now is in the Chinese province Guangdong. It's near Hong Kong, with more than 7,000 cases reported so far, prompting some dramatic measures to contain the spread, like mandatory insect repellent blasts.
Oh, there we go. We got the sprayers.
Mandatory property checks for stagnant water, which attracts mosquitoes, and when found, is now punishable by fines or even arrest.
I'm telling you,
get this, they're quarantining you in hospitals.
The way communists run the country,
mosquito
we're doing property checks, any standing water, we're spraying it with insecticide. You've got to be dusted with insecticide. How does that?
7,000 cases in a land that's got, you know, a couple billion people.
Get out now. Get out now.
Geez.
Get out now. So the funny thing is, you know, Bill Gates has this ongoing obsession with like making the mosquitoes the carrier for things, you know, the carrier for the vaccine, which is also the disease.
Well, it's where all of his patents are.
Yeah.
Oh.
So people are like, oh, Bill Gates to the rescue, you know, or to the punishment, whatever it is. I don't know. It's crazy. How could they say no? Oh, how did, excuse me, Weedham boys. Here we go. Deja vu.
Yeah.
Exactly, right?
That's what I was trying to say. You know, when you have 7,000 cases in a land with 2 billion people, that's not an outbreak.
I know.
I mean, that's when they're over here like, oh, we got some cases of mumps again or whatever. It's like, oh, whatever.
Here's the thing. All I got to say is lock this down.
Yeah.
Good luck this time. Like lock this down. I dare you. Like, good luck. I do think Trump is this is probably going to go nowhere. It's just going to be a little China problem.
But if this was a Harris Biden,
we'd be locked down right now.
Oh yeah, we'd be locked down 100%.
Prevent the spread. Oh my goodness, it'd be horrible.
Soften the curve.
Oh, it'd be horrible. All right, we need to jump over to private Rumble now. We've got to put some time in over there. And we've got, at the end of the show, we have a 4-month product review for a baby. It is awesome. You got to watch it. Again,
how much is the baby?
People are human. No, you just got to watch the product review. It's pretty good. It's really fun. We're going to have some giggles and laughs. So we're going to jump over there. And then in the private, what we're going to be going over there is we're going to be going over some people who know Trump and work with Trump on the daily and their interactions. We're also going to get to hear from Susie Wiles, the Ice Maiden, or whatever they call her, right?
The Ice Queen.
Ice Queen, the Ice Maiden. We're going to hear from them. So we got a couple more videos to do over there. We'll be streaming over there for a little bit. And I'm watching the YouTube chat, just having everybody on there. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, guys. We have to go to private. See, here's what happened. Yesterday, you know, we'd completed the 1 month in the quote creator program, which, yeah, it was cool. Basically had some goals and metrics to meet. Yeah. It was just normal. Just had to make sure you guys went and chatted in Rumble, blah, blah, blah. Well, we got paid.
What?
We got paid.
We actually made money?
Yeah. So the hosting of all of this thing, like I got one of the bills yesterday. It was a couple $100, but we got paid like $260 last month, which is, I blew my mind. I wasn't expecting a penny. I think we've made like $12 in this thing all together up till now. So I was like, oh, dude, we are on our way. We got $260. I'm going to be able to pay the hosting fees.
We're rich.
Rich. Yeah. But anyways, I do have to do some private browsing or private broadcasting. So we got to go private. So that's over on Rumble. If you're over there, really appreciate having you join us. I know people like to watch it on YouTube. But we get more credit when you watch on Rumble. So
we're going to need a little bit more work before we jump into some Joe Rogan money here.
Yeah, we're a little ways away. I had a guy in the bathroom yesterday. You guys podcasting, you guys getting quite the audience. It's like, yeah, we have a good little dedicated audience. And I go, I mean, we're no Joe Rogans. Yeah. He laughed at that. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys, we're jumping over to private, and we'll see you in just a minute. Are you going to play the outro before we go?
If you want.
Nah, we'll just jump straight over to private.
Okay.
We're just jumping straight over to private.